Hello and welcome to Macc-Pow at Home, a series of cosy chats with cartoonists and creators from the world of comics, the world over. Supported by Macclesfield Town Council, Macc-Pow at Home is the online version of Macc-Pow, the in-person, the real-life event, something that we're not as familiar with these days, but we will come back to it. So this is a great way of keeping those flames burning, the flags flying, and the chance to chat to people who may not be able to actually join us in person anyway. And one of those people is my guest today, James Kochalka, the cartoonist, musician, and all-around nice guy. We're going to have a nice little chat for about 45 minutes, an hour. And I'm going to now bring James in. I've got a few little things here. So I'm going to, as we do this, I'm going to bring James in. Some rapturous applause there, James.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
It's all right. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Now, as you can tell from that, no expense has been spared for our chat today. I've got. we were just talking before we went live.
I still hear an echo. I'm hearing my voice from your computer echoing back to me.
You can still hear a little echo. I'll try to let you talk more than me.
Okay.
Well,
the trouble, it's fine when you talk. When I talk, I hear the echo.
Right. So I'm not getting that. So hopefully anybody watching is just getting the two voices without the echo. But if they are getting the echo as well, they're getting like a bonus content.
I just hope it doesn't make me unable to speak. Right. Seems to be working fine now.
Okay, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
So, you know, yes. Sometimes when you hear your voice echoing back, it makes it so you suddenly can't say anything.
Yeah, no, I know, because it's like another person's talking, and then also when you get to hear your own voice as well, it's always quite confusing, and you're like, is that what I actually sound like? Which can throw you a little bit, can't it? So, well, it's great to have you here today, James. And as I mentioned, so I've got a few little tricks. So I'm going to throw this one up here first. We've got, James Kochalka, cartoonist, amongst many things, but Johnny Boo, Banana Fox. You first came to my attention when we spoke. The first time we spoke was actually the very first Macc-Pow, which was in 2016. Macc-Pow it still is in terms of the size of some comic events. It's still a small event, but it has grown over the past 6 years. And we spoke in 2016.
And it's part of a larger town event, right? Is it still?
Yeah. So initially it was part of a thing called the Barnaby Festival, which was well remembered, which is a 10-day arts festival that takes place in the town every 2 years. And after the success of it, it was a great success that first day for a small event, especially in a smaller town. An event about comics.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I wasn't actually there. I did it virtually, just like now. But it seemed great to have a great way to start a small comic festival, to have it be part of a town's larger festival. I don't know what would do here. We have one here called Art Hop, where there's this one street where most of the where a lot of the artists have studios. And then they open up their studios, and then other businesses along the street also show art. And it's just it's a huge event. Maybe thousands and thousands and thousands of people go. It's like a nighttime party thing. But it runs during the day too, but it's, at night when people get really excited about it, and bands play. And
it sounds like a similar thing. Yeah, we have, the bands and the sort of the core sort of premise of it is that things that are happening in the town in places that you wouldn't expect, or surprise places, a band playing in a church, or something down a little side street, like a little library down a side street that you can just read books or things.
That kind of festival is great. I'd like to point out my beautiful mug here. I like to, as much as possible, only use handmade ceramics. All my plates are handmade. All my cups are handmade. Not by me.
I was going to say, not by you. No.
Not by me. No. I mean, I kind of know how to do it, but I don't like, have access to all the gear really. I suppose I could like sign up at a studio or something, but
I'm sure I've seen you talk about either on Twitter or maybe in some of your past in the American Elf comics. Maybe I know pottery was definitely factored in there. That isn't a recent thing, is it?
No. Like for instance, every time I go camping with my family, if there's a lake or something, I like look around the bank of the lake until I find clay, dig out the clay, make stuff out of it, fire it in the campfire.
Right, okay.
It's hard. Campfire really probably doesn't get truly hot enough. Sometimes I've been able to get it hot enough to really, really fire the stuff hard. I think it's probably more like what you'd call bisking, which is a low temperature fire. It turns it to a rock-like substance, but you can still like smash it apart pretty easily.
Right.
So anyhow, but I've been doing it for a lot longer than that. When I went to college, I went to the University of Vermont, and they had this, like, at the time, sort of experimental dorm. Now it's actually pretty commonplace, where the students are divided up into suites, where you have like a common room and like 5 rooms off that common room, and those suites will be based around a subject, right? Like maybe science fiction or French, or so I was in the pottery suite, and which we changed to pottery and clay sculpture because we weren't at the start. I mean, my group, we weren't interested in pottery. We were interested in making stuff out of clay, but not about like throwing pots. Although I was in that program for so out of the 4 years that I was in college, I was in that program for 3 years, from sophomore through senior. More people came in eventually that actually were interested in throwing pots, but that just wasn't my thing.
No. But yeah, so no, I think I definitely have memories of, and I mentioned American Elf. I've pulled off a little copy here of my my shelf, the nice thick one here, which
it's great stuff. I mean, it's my masterpiece. I don't know what.
It's a classic. It's a classic. For those people who don't know, James, would you? I have to remember the angle of the camera here. There we go. For those people who don't know, could you just sort of briefly say and tell people what American Elf was and is?
Sure. Well, people had been drawing autobiographical comics for a long time, and people had been drawing daily comics for a long time, but daily comics were sort of falling off. But then they were sort of starting to come back again because of the web. So this was like in the late 90s. And so I thought, well, I'll just combine autobio comics with daily strip. And that's what American Elf is. It's a daily diary comic strip, which I kept daily for almost 15 years, I think.
Right.
And then I quit because for a lot of psychological reasons.
It's an intense amount of work.
It's insane. Like, it didn't matter like how sick I was, where I was drawing that strip daily.
To commit to that is you think, oh, it's just drawing a comic, but it's not that, is it? Because even though it's autobiographical, you've still got to sort of make it into something that's you still did make it into something that makes sense to somebody else. It wasn't just.
I mean, because you got to take like a moment of the day, right? And you've got to find the right moment. Yeah. And you've got to express it perfectly. But I mean, the good thing is, since you do it every day, you can kind of fool around a little bit and flub up sometimes, and it doesn't matter because there's another one the next day. So I remember working on it, and I was thinking the whole time I was working on it for like the first year, I was thinking, this is golden, like this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And then I went back and read it, right? And I started at the beginning. I was like, this is awful. There's nothing to this. And I read it and read it and read it. And I started to think, well, no, it's pretty good. And I read a little more. And then like you get like 16 pages in or something, and you're like, it's amazing. It just takes a little. You just have to get acclimated to get into the rhythm of it, and then it's amazing. I could talk about how amazing that work is because it's in my past, and I'm bragging about a guy who doesn't do it.
Yeah, but you did do it, and I know for myself that the more you get into doing stuff, the more you can achieve in a day. And I know, like you, work from home, and also had, particularly when you were doing it, you had young children. So it's factoring in. So all these things are elements of what could become part of the strip, but there are also elements of what could maybe get in the way of you being able to do a strip every single day.
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot different trying to live the creative life as a stay-at-home dad, that's for sure. It's hard work. I loved it. My kids are getting big. Eli's just about to graduate high school next week.
Okay.
I think his prom is on Sunday.
Oh my word!
Just a couple days from now. Now Oliver's 13, so he's getting pretty big too.
Wow, it goes fast, doesn't it? It goes fast.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I took from it definitely, was the honesty that you put out there with American Elf. It really showed you, as a fun guy at times, as a man on the edge.
Man on the edge.
And all the things.
Okay, so this is one of the. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. I very naively thought, of course, it's safe to share all your innermost feelings on the internet with strangers. Yeah. Like, no, it's not.
Are there any things that because obviously I was showing the collection, but maybe I didn't make it. You did, but I didn't make it apparent first. So these are the collected print editions, but originally each one of these little strips. I'll make sure there's nothing. I just saw some nudity a minute ago.
Yeah, don't flash it.
Yeah, each one of these little squares was a day on the website.
Yeah.
And was there anything when they came to be collected that you decided to not? From my memory, there were no real gaps.
No, I didn't cut anything out. Probably should have, but I didn't. I don't read it, so I've read the first year like several times, but I've never read anything past the first year. I mean, other than putting the book together. I just try not to. I just don't read it.
There's no point doing that, is there? There's no point sort of living in the past, because especially when it's your day anyway. Because we can all do this. My kind of the amount of days it takes me to get over something that's so if something's nagging me, bugging me in my head about something that I said the wrong way or didn't do it quite the way I thought I should have done it, it takes me about a day and a half to wake up and it not be an issue for me anymore.
Yeah. Well, life is pretty hard that way. Like there's still things, from like 30, 40, 50 years ago that bother me. So I don't want to remember all this stuff. I don't know why I write it down.
But it was
there's really good stuff in there though too, sweet stuff. Sometimes I flip through and just find one from when the kids are little, and it's
a
good.
Great little memory of things, I always enjoyed it and still do. When you probably do the same with comics. You come back to them, don't you? And then you sort of get your collection, and you sit down again and start reading this collection again, or these comics again, and so it comes around in my life where I sit down and go, okay, this is going. I tend to while having breakfast, I might sort of sit and read a comic while having breakfast and that kind of thing. And American Elf had always been part of my breakfast. Definitely, more occasions than not. So yeah.
So when I chose to quit it, it was pretty depressing because I was pretty sure I'd never be able to create anything that good ever again.
Right.
But you know, I was putting an awful lot of energy into that, and I've discovered in the years since that I've been able to bring all, because I was doing other work too at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I really feel like I was able to bring my children's graphic novels like up to a whole new level.
Right. After you stopped doing it.
After I stopped doing American Elf, yeah.
Do you think now, because you mentioned before, well, to me, I think just before we went on, that you work, because I know you work digitally. Do you do everything digital now, or do you still pencil and then?
No, I pencil on paper, and
right,
then I ink it on the iPad in Procreate, and then I color in Photoshop.
Right. Okay. And then, and do you feel that working that way as well, does that speed things up for you? Is that different?
Oh my God, yeah, it really speeds it up. I also invented some new techniques recently in the last couple of years that help me draw faster. I don't know if I can explain it. So I used to do a rough draft of a page, right?
Yes.
And then when I would do and that would be just like really quick drawings, gestural drawings with the characters and the word balloons and all that. And then I would redraw it, you know, try to redraw it perfect on another piece of paper, right? Just looking over at that and then trying to copy it. And it's so hard to copy it. I have to like erase it and do it again, erase it, do it again. So now what I do is I just scan my rough draft.
Yes.
Then I cut each panel out and size it to the size I know it's going to be.
Right.
And then print that out. And then I just trace it. So I'm tracing my original gestural drawings when I pencil now. And that just made it like 10 times faster.
Right. And then you piece that together then?
Oh, well, I'm tracing it onto a single page. So like if there's 6 panels, I've got 6 printouts of individual panels.
Right.
But then I trace it all onto one sheet.
Right. I see. Right. Okay. Right. And then ink it then digitally.
Yeah. And then inking digitally, it's been pretty important for me because as I get older, I got really good at using the brush, right? Like I had amazing control over the brush. And then I don't know exactly when, around 50 years old, I started to lose control of the brush again.
Really?
And yeah, like I started to get worse. So with the iPad, I can zoom in, and zooming in brings all that control back.
Right. Because you can just focus closer to it as opposed to having to see it as a whole. You can just see it as a section.
Yeah, I think the main, I don't know if it's I don't think it's necessarily my hand that I can't control. I think it's that I can't focus on the page correctly. So my brush doesn't go where I think I'm making it go because I can't see it. So I'll wear, I got them here somewhere. Maybe I just moved them. Anyhow, I've got reading glasses now that I use for drawing.
Yes.
And that helps. But reading glasses are weird in that, like, if you move your head a little bit, then suddenly it's out of focus again. They're just, it's like focused in just the right spot. So even with reading glasses, it can be hard.
So do you? So when you're inking digitally, what are you doing onto a Cintiq or onto an iPad?
Oh, when I ink digitally, I ink on a iPad Pro with a Apple Pencil.
Right. And because I remember seeing, maybe this year or last year, you were trying some different textures on the screen. You can lay a sheet, can't you, over the top of it to sort of give it a bit of drag, so it's not.
Oh yeah. I got like a paper textured screen protector for the iPad. Honestly, those work like really good for like the first couple days, and then the oils of your hands start to make it slick again. So but it's still, even in that state, better than just drawing on glass, I think.
Yeah, and do they and do they wear and the nib wears down? Do they wear the nib down quicker?
Yeah, they
Or
do wear the nib down a lot quicker.
I mean, the nib on mine is just it's like I don't know. It's well, you won't be able to see it, but it's a very weird angle. But I'm sticking with it. It seems to
Oh
be
yeah, so I have one of those too. Where's mine?
yeah.
But that's different than the Apple Pencil. I'm
Yes.
using a felt nib on this. This is for this
That's what
Cintiq,
I use. Yeah.
and that wears down pretty fast. I only have like one left, and they appear to be out of stock everywhere in the world right now.
Oh, really? Oh no.
Yeah. So what they're normally like $10 for a pack or whatever I see on Amazon, it's going for $50 now.
Really? Oh my word. Well, this is the way of this past year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Been sort of taking all the supplies. So how has the past year? I mean, again, you know, I follow you on Twitter and I see the things you put. But how has the past year? How's that affected you making your comics and getting the comics out there?
Well, when the lockdown started, well, okay, first off, you know, I work at home, right?
Yes.
So suddenly my whole family was home with me all day, every day. And for the first 3 days, I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to work again. And then, you know, after 3 days, I was like, well, I've just got to. And so I sat down and made myself do it. And I was like, it's okay. I can hear people walking around. It's a little distracting. It's okay. And then in a few more days, then I was completely used to it. And then I was probably more productive.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because, I mean, one problem I had when the family wasn't here is that I was lonely all the time.
Yes.
And it was hard to work because I was too lonely.
Yeah.
Well, I like having them around. I'm sad, a little, well, I mean, happy, but a little sad things are going back to normal. And then Eli's moving away to go to college, and
Okay.
it's going to start getting quieter around here.
Yeah. No, it's funny, isn't it? Because all the things that you think are stopping you getting things done, then when it's not there, you kind of want it back because you've worked out ways to achieve things with that there. And then, you know, I remember the same, you know, when the children are suddenly off school, it's like, how are you going to get anything done? And then you have to, because otherwise you don't get to make money, and you've got to keep going, haven't you? And then when they then go back at school, you can probably be filled with guilt that you felt that way when they were off school. Now they're not here. You feel terrible, and all you do is wait till they come home from school to make you feel better.
One nice thing that I did for years when the kids were small is that I would just take the summers off.
Yes.
I guess not counting American Elf, I still draw an American Elf, but that was like, you know, an hour or two a day or something. And then when I quit that, then I just had the summers off. But then I noticed like 2 years ago, they're big. They don't need me to take the summer off. They don't want me bothering them all the time, making them go on bike rides with me, go to the beach. So then I went back to work.
Right. So are you? Are schools closed now? So did schools go back where you are? Did they ever go back to school physically?
Yeah. We're in Vermont. Where right now, well, the adult population is over 70% vaccinated.
Right.
So we're doing really good. And they just opened everything. They just opened everything back up again.
Right. Okay.
School is a little different than it was. Actually, like the high school still only goes 2 days a week, but the middle school goes 4 days a week. So they only have one day off now.
Right.
I mean, 1 day in the middle, they stay home and do their classes remotely.
Right. Okay. Right. And it's
or even not. I don't even think they have classes on that day. I think they're just supposed to do homework or something.
Right. Okay.
Oliver usually plays Minecraft.
Right. Yeah. It's still something, isn't it? Though he's still using his brain.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It might be trickling out of his ear a little bit as well. but he's still using it in a way. So I know. So I've just put. So I've got all these, as I said to her, I've got all these little fun little gimmicks, and I can do this little one. I'm quite pleased with this one. It's like I'm some kind of TV show guy.
Oh yeah, there's my Patreon account down there.
Yeah,
so I did actually start drawing American Elf again, and I put them up on my Patreon now.
Yeah, so
but I don't do it daily.
No, you just do it when you feel that there was something that was worth. Yeah, and I think so.
Not even every time I think that something really good, interesting happened, because there's plenty of interesting things that happen that I haven't drawn about it. Just if the mood strikes me just right, I'll do it, which turns out to be about 4 times a month.
Right. Okay. So there's less pressure, and but it's still sort of keeping that in people's lives as well, I think, which is nice. And I think Patreon is a great thing for being able to, particularly in the past year when a lot of things weren't getting physically published, and then being able to be sold or even released. It's a great way to get things out. So it's kind of going full circle, hasn't it? The webcomics have now become. I remember watching you receiving. Would it have been an Ignatz Award for American Elf?
I did get an Ignatz for American Elf, and a Harvey Award also.
Yeah, I remember I must have seen it. It must have been on YouTube. It was you accepting the award for that, and you said that the great thing about webcomics is that they, and I won't use the there could be children watching, but is that they something glow. They glow out of the screen.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how now webcomics, because the
light actually comes out of the artwork, which is amazing, right?
Sorry, we just lost you there for a second.
Light actually comes out of the artwork, which is amazing. Now I've noticed in high-end gallery settings now, sometimes people make artwork either that it's just a screen, right? Like you buy the screen and it shows there, or they make like a transparent print and like have like, I don't know, LEDs behind it so that their artwork glows on the wall just like it glows on the screen where they made it.
Well, this is the thing, because everybody's working on stuff now that's on the screen, and as you know, the screen doesn't necessarily translate directly to what it's going to look like in print. I think more so these days with the advancement of digital print, even though with published works that they're probably not being printed digitally, it'll be still a 4-color process.
Digital printing can get pretty close to what you see on screen, but light's not actually coming out. So one of the first things I noticed about reading a book, right? Like, okay, if you hold it in the light, it looks right. But a lot of graphic novels, if you just read them like in the shade, right? Or in a darker corner of the room, suddenly you can't see anything on the page. I mean, I feel like maybe it's just because I'm old. Maybe young people can see it, but I don't know. It seems to me like people are they're picking the wrong colors.
Right. I mean, your comics are big, bright, bold comics. Even your black and white comics. You are from the school of kind of like your close personal friend Frank Miller with the solid blacks and having that impact. So your black and white drawings would already have that impact, and then you add another layer with the bright colors. So everything's kind of popping, at all times, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess I'm always trying to amp stuff up.
You want to stand out, don't you? Your comics need to stand out, and as you know, there's so many people making comics. There's some are fantastic, some aren't as good, but there's a lot of people making comics, and even for people who are known, who have a bit more notoriety, you've still got to stand out, because it's easy to get lost in a sea of comics. Are you so your comics now primarily?
I mean, there's 7.5 billion people on Earth. It's amazing. It's amazing. The amazing thing is that, like, I mean, there are people who are like like famous artists or famous musicians, right? With millions of fans. Still, most people on earth have no idea who they are.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like, even like really big bands, maybe have 100 million fans.
Yes.
That's still almost nobody knows who they are.
Yeah. No, to be sort of known the world over is quite an achievement, and I think you can. I was speaking to one of the other, maybe both the previous creators that I've had on so far, and we were talking about the modern age of social media and people chasing the likes for their work on Instagram and stuff like that. And
it's kind of insane. Like you're chasing this audience of a few hundred or a few thousand people. Like,
no, I can see. I kind of look
but
at
it can be enough.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to not get too caught up in that, and it can be very easy to do that. But I think the most important thing is to be able to, if you're getting the work, you're doing the work. That's what's important, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, get it out there somehow, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more opportunities to get things out there. So, and that's really nice. People use Instagram with little swipe across kind of comics. And so that's become a nice little thing.
Oh, yeah. You can just scroll through like panel at a time. Is that how they, that seems like a good way to do it. I don't really use Instagram.
No.
I try to use it on the desktop, and it's awful on the desktop.
Yeah,
so I should probably get it from my phone.
Yeah, it doesn't quite kind of work. But what you end up being, though, is tied to then messing around with devices all the time.
Oh, yeah. I only got a phone like 2 years ago because my wife, Amy, said, would you like a phone for your birthday? And I said, no, absolutely not. And she got me one. I just didn't I didn't want the internet in my pocket. I wanted to be able to escape from it.
Yes.
Now I can't escape from it. I knew I would love it though. And I do love it. But I do find myself going for a walk and pulling out my phone and checking my texts or whatever. I try not to, but it's hard. It's really hard.
I definitely try to not. And you see this more with the younger generation. I don't walk along looking at my telephone. So it's if I get to somewhere and then I might pull it out and then see if something's happened in that 5-minute window of where I've not been looking at it. But for the most part, I think you've reached a new low when you're walking around just literally looking at it. As
well, I definitely have done that.
Right. Well, we all kind of have, but I try and remind myself not to do that.
What? These headphones? Well, I know, but I was looking for this kind because I don't want to wear big headphones. Eli wants these headphones I'm wearing.
Oh, Eli.
I had to borrow them from him because I couldn't find mine. Well, I'm sure we're almost done, Eli.
We've got we can do another 10 minutes. I was going to do another 10 minutes if that's okay.
Okay.
So we just mentioned about so you referenced graphic novels. So your work now primarily comes out as completed works, as what you say, as a graphic novel, which is a story that is more pages than a monthly comic, and it comes out as almost in a book format.
Yes. Although I have been serializing stories on my Patreon also.
Yes.
I did the first thing I ever drew on the iPad. I serialized on the Patreon to just kind of get used to it. It was hard to decide how thick to make the line and stuff like that. So that was a test. And that was 24 pages. It was called Moon Book. It's a science fiction adventure on the moon. And then I started to feel like I was losing some of my physical inking chops, with brush and ink. So I started serializing another book. so I have this graphic novel called Elf, Cat, and Love, and I started a new Elf Cat story, and I've been serializing that and inking physically instead of digitally.
Yeah, and do you miss? Because I know that you used to do the SpongeBob comic, which was a monthly comic. Do you miss that? Do you miss the sort of the regular, creating stuff that was going to be in print next month, that kind of thing?
Well, the thing I missed most about SpongeBob leaving was the money. It was the best paying gig I had, and I mean, like my income like disappeared to like nothing the year that year,
which is tough.
Yeah. Clawed back from then. But that was a rough year.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was, and I think that those comics, and that just shows, doesn't it, that because you put not necessarily all your eggs in one basket, as they say, but it's you do the work when it's there, and then suddenly when it's not there, it's like, oh, how am I going to fill that gap?
Yeah, well, I don't want to take so many paying jobs, right? Like I don't want to work on my thing, which either makes money or doesn't make money, but it's my thing, right? And then I'll take some paying jobs, but I want, I don't want it to crowd into my, passion too much. So I had this cool SpongeBob gig, and I wasn't looking for any other gigs. And then it was gone. I was like, oh my God.
No, it's a real blow, and that kind of reflects with what a lot of people have gone through in this past year, when suddenly, publications just, like Marvel and DC literally stopped publishing comics for at least, I think maybe it was 2 months, that there were no comics going out, and people's work just kind of. And
then Diamond Comics distribution decided to shut down, which ended all comic book stores. I mean, it kind of made sense. People couldn't go to comic book stores anyway.
No. But it's still,
people weren't going to any store.
No. So do you? I know that you have been, but do you do more comic events now, like comic conventions still, or you do more because of the nature of the graphic novel kind of market? That's possibly more tailored to bookshops and stuff like that. Do you do more bookshop appearances or signings than you do comic events?
Probably do more bookshop appearances, but I don't really do a lot of anything. No. I mostly just do signings here in my hometown. A couple times a year. It's great.
Are the days of jetting around, are they gone now? Or?
I can't stand it.
No.
No. I'm not really built to travel by myself. That is a stressful situation. That's like hard work for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's it's fun being at these events, but I don't even have fun. Well, I kind of have fun. I'm like in a state of semi-panic the whole time. Anytime I'm away from home. So then I come back and I think about it, and I was like, that was a cool adventure. I went to France. Cool. But while I was in France, I wasn't having any fun. So what are you?
Unless I can bring my family with me, and then it's a blast. As long as Amy's there with me, it's cool. Or
when you're doing stuff, because it's I know what you mean, because I think especially when you go to these events and with a lot of your work being aimed at sort of at the children's market as well. The people that will be passing by your table or coming to your signing would be families, which would then, I would imagine, then make
it just makes you think every time yours is far away.
Look at this father, he's bringing his child.
That's so sweet. Look at those guys having their day together,
and then you feel terrible. No, I have got children, I've just left them to be on the other side of the world. And I do miss them, I promise you. But so what? I know that,
for me, it's like missing the family is one thing, but it's more like just the stress of like my stuff isn't here, or this isn't my street, kind of thing. Like it's sort of exciting and fun, but I need some kind of anchor. So I have, you know, if Amy can go with me, then that's sort of an anchor that is there. Like I can enjoy all that exploration and stuff if I have some kind of anchor.
Yeah, definitely. Something from home.
Yeah. So like now, like, you know, the phone has to play that role of like being the anchor. Like, oh, the phone's the same as it ever was.
So what? So I've seen a few things that you've been doing this past year. So what have you got coming out soon, or?
Oh well, the next book is the second Banana Fox book. What's it called? I don't even know what I can't remember what it's called. Banana Fox book 2. Oh, Banana Fox and the Book Eating Robot.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I saw the cover to that. Yeah. Cool. And when's that out?
October.
Okay.
I had last fall and the beginning of this year, I had 6 books come out within 6 months.
Right.
So now it feels like there's just like so weird not to have books coming out all the time. I have to wait for the next one.
So what are you working on something new now? Or
well, I'm working on Banana Fox book 3 right now.
Okay. Right.
I think it's Banana Fox and the Gummy Monster or something like that.
Yeah. And at what kind of stage are you?
I'm almost done.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm coloring it right now. I have like another 30 pages to color or something. I colored a page this morning while waiting for our talk to start. I'm normally not even working yet.
What time is it? Where are you?
Well, it's 9:16 in the morning here right now. I normally would probably start working at 10 or 10:30.
Right.
I mean, I'll probably wake up at 8, but I just don't get going right away.
No. And so you're working on that one. And have you got anything once you've done that? Have you got an idea lined up? Or
I think I know what I want to do. I think I want to do a new Dragon Puncher book.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I did a Dragon Puncher book.
You did. So I
did Dragon Puncher Island, which won a Eisner Award.
Right.
Then I did Johnny Boo Meets Dragon Puncher.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do another one. Although the cat is dead and the kids have grown up, I'm trying to decide should I take should I use my new cat? I could just use pictures of the old cat. Should I use Eli's? So it's a combination of photography and for people who don't know, there's a combination of drawing and photography. So like the backgrounds are drawings, the characters are drawn, and then but their like faces are photographs. So like the cat wears this robot battle suit, and it's got like this thing like this, and you can see the little cat face there. And then my son Eli and Oliver were characters in it, and they were like these furry monsters with a little round hole for their face. Little hole in the fur for their face. So like I probably just use old photos of Eli if he's in the new book.
Right.
It seems weird to have an 18-year-old.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
It could work.
Could give it like some kind of almost like a Dark Knight Returns when kind of coming back out of retirement kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at 18 years old,
Yeah.
But and I noticed as well. So we'll finish up in a minute, James.
He's not 18 yet, but he's just about.
Right. Yeah. So you had a cartoon series. Is something happening still there, or?
Well, I've had a few. One, I'm not going to say the name because it's a swear. And then I did one, just a pilot for Nickelodeon called Plunge of the Dragon.
Yes.
You can find that on YouTube. But I put a lot of work last a year or so putting together a pitch for the Johnny Boo show.
Yes, that's what I saw on, because one of the images you sent me that I've used as the lead image to promote this on the YouTube. It'll be the card. It was that image. So I wanted just to ask, what was that?
Yeah, it's just that's the cover to the pitch document. We'll start pitching the show to networks.
Right.
Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, I mean, because your stuff is ideal for. I mean, I think
that'd be insane not to make the Johnny Boo show. But it's still, you know, it's like a roll of the dice. Nonetheless, even with a perfect, even with a perfect pitch, it's still a roll of the dice. Like someone's going to say, we already have a ghost show in development, or I don't know, like ghosts are stupid. I don't know.
That's the thing, because you can do everything you can. You can have a wealth of work behind it to show just how great this idea is. But all it takes is one person to just go, yeah, no, it's okay. We're okay. Well, let's do something else.
Yeah.
Which is tricky.
There are a lot of networks now, but you know, the competition is fierce.
No, it is. I mean, there's some good animated shows out there, and I think it's a good time to sort of, you know, with things like Netflix, they're investing a lot of money in animation and stuff like that as well. And but it's you know, they've just got to find the right ideas, haven't they? So, but well, fingers crossed.
It's fun. Yeah, it's funny. You know, basically spent my whole life, like, you know, on the verge of something. Like there's always, and some of the things come true and some of the things don't come true. But it's weird to always live like on the precipice of the unknown. Maybe if I had a different sort of job, maybe I wouldn't. That wouldn't be true, but in the arts, it feels like you're always just on the precipice of something good or something bad. I don't know.
You never know what's going to happen, and you know, you can pitch things, and you wait for somebody to basically reply back to you either with a yes or a no, and it is tough. And I think to keep
it's funny in some of the like pitches that I've done in the past, like. The people seem like obviously wowed.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the actual meeting, and then they pass on it. Doesn't make any sense. But maybe they're faking being wowed.
It's hard to know, isn't it? It's really it's hard to know. I think, but I suppose you still get to make the comics, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Life is good the way it is.
Yeah. And everything else is gravy, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, I'm just worried about, like, sometimes I worry about like getting some great new opportunity and it messes. I don't want it to mess up the good life that I have, like by being like way more stressful or something. So,
so the comics are still very much the comics are what you want to, you're doing those, and everything else is an add-on. It's not that you're trying to move away, or
the comics and music are like that's my thing. Although every time I've worked on animation, it's been like just incredibly fun. But like the excitement, it's like maybe a little too exciting for me. You know, it's like adrenaline. I don't want to jinx it.
It's strange as well, because I think I remember reading in some of the American Elves, or maybe online, you're putting your work into somebody else's hands, because obviously you're not the one who's actually going to make the cartoon.
No. Yeah, right. Like once you get to that level, there's a lot of hands, and you gotta let people do what they gotta do.
Yeah,
you can't make the actors say it a certain way. You can't make the animators make it move a certain way. You can suggest, but you got to let them. You got to let them shine too.
Yes,
because that's the way it really works. Is when everybody does their thing that makes it better.
Yeah, and I think because it's when it's a collaboration, isn't it? That's when things really work well, when everyone collaborates and acts as though this is their thing. Every person involved is thinking, well, this is mine. And
if you try and force everybody, nobody has fun, and
No.
then we're not going to come out good. So you got to let everybody have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, James, I think that's a perfect way to end it.
Everybody
everybody
have fun.
We're all trying, and we're all hopefully achieving that. This past year has been a bit of a crazy one, or past year and a half. It went on a little bit longer than we all thought it was.
And it's not really over, you know.
No. I think it's I think it's all how we, and this is true of life, how we all to adjust to something new, and I think that's and we live with these things, which is the way everyone's had to adapt, and we're fortunate in the arts that we can adapt, and it doesn't stop you.
Yeah, it didn't stop me.
Yeah, well, we had a few people here saying they've been enjoying the chat, and somebody has said that your Patreon is one of the best.
Oh, that's fantastic.
There you go.
I've been putting songs up constantly, like every day.
And do you have a good following on Patreon?
It's pretty good. It's it's growing slowly every month, and yeah, I mean, it's like the only money that I can count on month to month, because everything else is royalties. It comes like 4 times a year, twice a year. Who knows when it's going to come or how much it's going to be. But this is some, small amount that I can count on every month. Cool. It's good. Oh, well, we went past the perfect ending, though.
Yeah, we went past it. And now we're going to come back. Everybody have fun.
Everybody have fun.
James, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm always enjoy spending time in your virtual company.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's you're an inspiring guy, an inspiring cartoonist. You definitely inspired me to be a better cartoonist. So I thank you for that, sir. So this is one of a series of live chats that I'm doing with cartoonists. This will be shareable afterwards, so you can share it around, and I will share it and tag you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. On Tuesday next week, Tuesday 8th of June, I will be chatting to Spanish cartoonist Jeannie Espinosa at 11 a.m. UK time at BST. And Tuesday 8th of June, you'll like this, James, is actually also the first birthday of our cat Jerry. So he will be celebrating his birthday on Tuesday, 1 year of adventures. So So happy birthday to Jerry in advance. Would you like to
happy birthday?
Yeah, there you go. Well, James, thank you so much. I will I'll unceremoniously remove you from the conversation, and I will say
bye-bye.
Just stay well, say hi to the family, and keep making those comics, James. Take care. All right, see you later. Bye. Well, that was James Kochalka. We've got the banners are still going, but yeah, you can check out James's Patreon right there, and subscribe and follow him and see his exclusive comics. Thank you again to James for joining me. Thank you to all my guests so far. And like I say, on Tuesday, 8th of June next week at 11 a.m. BST, UK time, but shareable afterwards. It's even though it's live, you're not missing out. You can still watch this again. So hello to anybody watching this again. We will be. I'll be chatting to a Spanish cartoonist, Jeannie Espinosa, live from Barcelona. So until then, I'm going to end this broadcast. I'm going to try to not look up in the corner of my screen. I'm going to keep smiling. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching the Macc-Pow at Home, and thank you to Macclesfield Town Council for your support. Take care. See you soon. Stay well, and keep enjoying those comics.